Door opened. They're racing in there. Look at her. Look at her. Insurrecting him right there. Whoa, pushing him to get in the building.
That was our reason. So despite, what Republicans are saying, like,
it's
about
us,
trying to break people out of jail, that's untrue. We were not there to do that. We were there to conduct an oversight visit.
Forcing yourself to officers to get in that facility is not the way to do it. We have many Congressmen visit our facilities. What she did was unprofessional.
The big-bellied Congresswoman known as LaMonica McIver from New Jersey has now been charged with a crime. Several crimes you can see here. Assault, criminal complaint coming out, and we've got count 1 and count 2 that will parse through, drafted and sent in to the District of New Jersey, federal court there in front of the Judge Honorable Stacey D. Adams. And if you're not familiar with LaMonica McIver, here's a quick photograph before we jump into it. You may recognize her from this belly, which is here about to destroy this innocent agent who's right here. He's first got the elbow right there. See right in the back. Then comes the belly, the old 1-2 combo. Put somebody's eye out with that thing. So you can see this is what the complaint looks like here, and lots of reaction here. LaMonica came out. She's saying, I'm innocent. So is my belly. Don't indict me with 2 counts for those. And lots of reaction from others, including Nancy Pelosi and Bang Bang Eric Swalwell, who is saying this is a red line and you guys are in big trouble now. We'll see what he wants to do about it. But here is the criminal complaint filed against LaMonica McIver. Seen here, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Investigation special agent is called Robert Tanzi, now duly sworn, stating the following is true and correct to the best of his knowledge and belief. And he works with Homeland Security, HSI, the same folks who were all over January 6th in the crowd that we'll probably never know about. He says here that he signed this affidavit by telephone, attested to this by telephone, and the judge says, well, it sounds like probable cause. Okay, so now your complaint is accepted by the court. 2 counts. 1, assaulting, resisting, and impeding certain officers or employees with her belly. Says on or about May 9th in Essex County, New Jersey, and elsewhere, the defendant, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, I think she identifies as a woman, I'm not positive on that, but we'll just presume, said did forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with the person designated as a protectee under the law, a Homeland Security HSI agent known as Victim 1 that we'll learn more about coming up. Victim 1 was engaged in and on account of performance of his official duties trying to protect the facility, and then the belly came in and obliterated his backside. So in violation of the law, count 2, another assault for Victim 2. This one was an ICE Customs Enforcement deportation officer. Same charge, assaulting with her elbow and belly. So here's the background. Now, I, Robert Tanzi, am a special agent with the Newark Division of Homeland Security called HSI. The information contained in this complaint is based upon my personal knowledge, as well as information obtained from other sources, including statements made or reported by various witnesses with knowledge of the relevant facts. B, my review of publicly available information, which we've seen some of that here. We got the video queued up too. My review of the evidence, including video surveillance. And because this complaint is being submitted for a limited purpose, I have not set forth every fact that I know concerning this investigation. We just have to get through a very, very slow bar. Probable cause that there's a crime that occurred. Don't need to prove the actual occurrence of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the next standard that comes much later. This is just a basic, just getting started here. Where the contents of documents and the actions and the statements of others are reported, they are reported in substance and in part, except where otherwise indicated. Now, where I assert that an event took place on a particular date, I'm asserting it took place on or about that date. Saying, here are the facts. LaMonica McIver is a sitting congresswoman representing New Jersey's 10th Congressional District. Delaney Hall currently operates as a federal immigration detention facility. ICE uses the Delaney Hall Federal Immigration Facility for federal operations. Makes sense. On or about May 9th, the Congresswoman McIver, she arrived at Delaney Hall in Newark. She's going to go fight the patriarchy of Trump, allegedly to conduct congressional oversight inspection. Right. The visit took place in tandem with an immigration protest rally at Delaney Hall in front in an unsecured area of the facility. And this has been their nice little excuse. I'm just doing congressional oversight. Okay, well, why were you there with maniacs who were causing a ruckus? Perimeter cameras show that when the security gate of Delaney Hall opened momentarily to allow a vehicle to enter into the secure area of the facility, McIver and 2 other members of Congress moved quickly inside the security area as the gate closed, trying to race in there before the gate shut. Now, once the group group entered the secured area, the mayor arrived thereafter at the facility and was told he could not enter without authorization. However, the mayor returned with members of his security detail and was able to enter inside the gate because the guard was under the impression that the mayor was part of the congressional delegation. Now, while McIver, the congresswoman, and the mayor were in the secured area of that facility, a Homeland Security agent, and now known as Victim 1, approached the mayor and said, "Mayor, I'm with Homeland. You're not part of Congress. Get out. Leave the facility's secure area." The Homeland agent spent approximately 5 minutes repeatedly ordering the mayor, who at this point is committing an insurrection, not following orders, to leave, and issued multiple warnings. "Mayor, if you don't leave, I'm going to arrest you." Now, McIver and the other congresspersons overheard this conversation, and they're screaming at this agent. "Hey, you can't, I think you are. Here's the mayor." Victim 1 explained to them, the Homeland Security. He said, "Hey, Congress people are different, okay? The mayor, not allowed. Congress might have lawful authority to be there, but the mayor did not." Okay, the guy knows his stuff. So after numerous warnings to leave and numerous warnings of potential arrest, the Homeland agent announced that he was going to place the mayor under arrest. Okay, I'll give you like 10 warnings now. You can't be here, so get out. The congresswoman interjected, yelling, "Hell no! Hell no! Hell no!" writes this agent. The agent ordered the mayor to put his hands behind his back and displayed his handcuffs. McIver and other members of Congress surrounded the mayor and prevented the Homeland agent from handcuffing him and taking him into custody, impeding, insurrecting lawful order. Now, McIver initially remained inside the secure area as the mayor was then moved outside the gate. Once outside, the HSI agents attempted to handcuff again the mayor. Then at that time, McIver hurried outside towards the agents and attempted to thwart the arrest as others yelled, "Circle the mayor," right? They're having their little insurrection party over there. McIver faced the mayor and placed her arms around him. She and others encircled him in a human shield effort to prevent the agent from completing the arrest that was initiated lawfully in the secure area. McIver, the congresswoman's attempts to thwart the arrest included, but not limited to, the following acts, right? So it's not just her giant belly bopping somebody in the back. It's also these things. 14, McIver slammed her forearm into the body of the HSI agent right there. A uniformed agent, by the way, they arrested people on January 6th and put them in solitary confinement, called them violent terrorist insurrectionists, raided their homes and all the things. So I wonder if that's going to happen here. A uniformed agent. She also reached out and tried to restrain V1 by forcibly grabbing him as well. Now, following the arrest, the congresswoman also pushed an ICE officer and used each of her forearms to forcibly strike V2 as she returned inside to the secure area of the facility. Now, some representative stills of McIver's forcible contact with the agents and officers are below. Look at that elbow. Belly's not out yet. She's saving that for round 2 if there's non-compliance. There it comes at you fast. So victim 2 gets popped with the left shoulder, then the belly comes out, right shoulder. She means business. Now here's another aerial camera still frame. You'll notice here, look at this elbow, this volitional act coming across, raised, dropping down. What a monster! Says here's another body camera still frame from victim 1. See her here, and another one just going absolutely wild. You can see here's another one. This gentleman is saying, "Stop right there, Congresswoman." And she's now up off her toes, getting aggressive. Now the officer writes, "The above are instances of McIver's multiple attempts to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with the agents attempting to take the mayor into custody." And so we've got a couple of different angles here. We got that body or that footage that looks like body cam from somebody on their Axon. And then you've got, this looks like public surveillance footage from another, just camera on a building, another cop's Axon there. And so multiple angles of this thing. And we got it queued up right here as well. And this is what it looked like in real time. This clip came over from House Judiciary and from Eric Dougherty over on X. Door opened. They're racing in there. Look at her. Look at her. Insurrecting him right there. Whoa, pushing him to get in the building. Wow, this is like the downfall of American democracy. Good thing she's being prosecuted. Hopefully she's arrested and thrown into solitary confinement for 3 years. We'll see if that works out or not. Alina Abba gave us some background on why this happened. She says, "Look, today my office charged Congresswoman McIver with violation of Title 18 U.S. Code for assault, impeding and interfering with law enforcement, and the mayor actually got his charges dropped. Now, I take my obligations as U.S. attorney seriously," says Alina Abba. Says, "I understand understand the responsibility that comes with my position, and I will work diligently to uphold the law and deliver justice to the people of New Jersey. After extensive consideration, we have agreed to dismiss Mayor Baraka's misdemeanor charge of trespass just for the sake of moving forward. In the spirit of public interest, I have invited the mayor to tour Delaney Hall. The government has nothing to hide at this facility. I will personally accompany the mayor so he can see that firsthand, saying the citizens of New Jersey deserve unified leadership so we can work to keep our state safe. Now, the dismissal against the mayor, though, is not the end of the matter. As we saw, congressional oversight is an important constitutional function and one that I fully support. However, that is not at issue in this case. Representative LaMonica McIver assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement. And that conduct cannot be overlooked by the chief federal law enforcement official in New Jersey. And it's my constitutional obligation to ensure that our federal law enforcement is protected when executing their duties. I have persistently made efforts to address these issues without bringing criminal charges and have given McIver every opportunity to come talk to us, meet with us, come to a resolution, but she has declined because she's going to love this, right? She's going to be like running for president along with AOC, like AOC McIver here, running for president. So she's not going to cooperate and go say I'm sorry or come to some sort of a plea deal like Jamal Fire Alarm Bowman did. Not at all. She's going to dig her heels in and fight. She's got a lot of weight to anchor her down there too. Says no one is above the law, politicians or otherwise. It is the job of this office to uphold justice impartially, regardless of who you are. Now we will let the justice system work. No one's above the law. And it's pretty incredible that Alina Abba has been in office for like 2 weeks and she's already charging people who are breaking the law. A lot of other people have been in positions of power here in the Trump administration who promised us a lot of stuff, but Alina Abba delivers. As we've said here, not just beauty. Now, criminal prosecutions too. So Alina Abba bringing it home, and Kristi Noem has her back. Says, after a thorough review of the video footage of Delaney Hall and a full investigation from Homeland, Alina Abba has made the determination to charge Congresswoman LaMonica McIver for assaulting law enforcement. No one is above the law, says Kristi. If any person, regardless of political party, influence, or status, assaults a law enforcement officer as we witness McIver do, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We thank our brave ICE law enforcement officers for their service to this great nation. Thank you, Kristi Noem, for saying that. Eagle Ed Martin also said, no one is above the law, even Congress people like LaMonica. Now she's out. She responded to this. She says, this is my statement on the charges filed against me. She says, earlier this month, I joined my colleagues to inspect the treatment of the ICE detainees in my district. We were fulfilling our lawful Congress oversight responsibilities, as many Congress people have done before. And our visit should have been peaceful and short, except you tried to break into the facility by shoving your way in past the gates. Congressional oversight. That's the after the fact excuse. Instead, ICE agents created an unnecessary and unsafe confrontation when they chose to arrest Mayor Baraka, who was warned many times to go. The charges against me are purely political. They mischaracterize and distort my actions and are meant to criminalize and deter oversight. No, they're not. We watched what you did. This administration will never stop me from working for the people in our district and standing up for what's right. I am thankful for the outpouring of support I've received. I look forward to the truth being laid out in court. So she was also on with CNN. Here is what she sounded like when she was out explaining herself.
Would you have done anything differently?
No, I would not have. Once again, we showed up there to do a job, Kate. We were there for an oversight visit. We have done this before. You know, me, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, and Congressman Bob Menendez was just at a facility just a couple of weeks ago, not too far from this location, where we had an oversight visit, and we were a little bit delayed, but not, confronted or was in the middle of a chaos to do so. I think, number one, we have an obligation to do so. We have to show up and do our jobs. And at the end of the day, the reason why we were there is because we wanted to make sure this facility was up to par, that it was clean, that it was safe, and that the detainees there were, given due process, that they were able to use the phone, that they were able to speak to their legal representation, which we found out was not happening.
Very different attitude on display on CNN than what we saw outside the facility, where she's elbowing ICE agents left and right, trying to break into the facility because the gate temporarily opened.
That was our reason. So despite, what Republicans are saying, like,
it's
about
video.
us, trying to break people out of jail, that's untrue. We were not there to do that. We were there to conduct an oversight visit, which after all of this, the chaos, Kate, they gave us a tour. We were all of this. We broke in, we assaulted people, all of these things that, Haba is saying and Republicans are saying.
Congresswoman, you are now facing a federal charge, though. Are you afraid of what's going to transpire now?
I mean, it's super unfortunate, Kate, that we have come to this point, in America, that this is what we see happening.
That we've been invaded by 15 million to 30 million illegals, and we're trying to get them out.
To leaders who are trying to do their jobs, rather it's the mayor of the largest city, rather it's a judge. We've seen this administration come after and attack, leaders for doing their jobs. It's political intimidation, and I will not be intimidated. I expect to continue to do my job.
Yeah, political intimidation is what you just tried to do to those ICE agents when you were outside hitting everybody with your giant belly. So now you got charged with a crime. Hakeem Jeffries not happy about it. He says, here's our statement on this. Says the criminal charge against LaMonica is morally bankrupt. Says we have a constitutional responsibility for oversight. She visited the detention center. They didn't assault anyone. We watched it. Were themselves aggressively mistreated by illegally masked individuals, saying that a bunch of people were on a tour. There's no credible evidence she engaged in any activity or she would have been permitted to tour the facility had she done anything wrong. Well, they had to. She is a congressperson. And so they let her do that. Once the assault was over, they complied with her power, right? So they didn't deny her anything. They're not upset about the fact that she came to come and do oversight. She's allowed to come and oversee things. They would have let her in. Even the person who was there, according to the complaint, said, Congress people are different. Mayor, not you, but you would be yes. No one has a concern about that. Go do your oversight, Hakeem. Oversee away. Have a ton of fun. But you can't break and enter. You can't impede the other agents from doing their jobs. You're not a little queen diva of the whole facility just because you show up there. And that's what the point is. You can't do that stuff. You can act like a law and order abiding congressperson and you can come in. Even after you broke the law, they still let you in. But you got to pay the penalties for the assault. Now, she's raising a bunch of money on this, right? Our thesis was this will elevate her status, obviously. And Jennifer Van Laar, who's over on X, grabbed this one, got the email on this. And LaMonica is already sending this out to people on her listserv. Says, I was charged by the Trump administration because I was doing my job for engaging in congressional oversight, right? This is a first. It's a flashing red light for our democracy. Yeah. I went to an ICE facility to conduct oversight, but it's clear that Trump doesn't want transparency. This is baseless. We must stand up together. Give me some money. Now, the Attorney General in New Jersey also came out with a statement saying, charging a member of Congress, and Alina Abba would do well to remember this. They all basically sound the same. We're mad about stuff, so it's not even that interesting. Nancy Pelosi, baseless charges, okay? Thank you, LaMonica, for defending all of our rights as members of Congress, from Nancy Pelosi. So she responded to this. The mayor, who was not ultimately charged, said this, I am glad the U.S. Attorney Alina has agreed that this case should be dismissed against him. I've had strong relationships with prior U.S. attorneys, right? I'm sure this mayor and Alina, they probably had a conversation with this. Like, let's just talk about it. Like, what's up? And we can cooperate. Now, as to Delaney Hall, I'm going to continue to advocate for humane treatment of detainees. I'll continue to press the facility to make sure it's compliant. But I understand that U.S. Attorney Alina has chosen to charge LaMonica, saying McIver is a daughter of Newark, past Newark Council president, a former student of mine, and a dear friend. And I stand with LaMonica, and I expect her to be fully vindicated. Todd Blanche is standing by Alina Abba, saying, I echo what Alina Abba has made clear. If you assault a federal law enforcement officer, it's not going to be tolerated. And they were the same people who were screeching at us about January 6th and the attack on, I mean, they gave that cop that they said died on January 6th, who didn't die on January 6th, they gave him like a state funeral. Remember that? That's how much fake love they have for cops. After the George Floyd summer, where they hated cops, then all of a sudden they love cops again because it's just politically expedient for them. But this administration will always protect those who work tirelessly to keep America safe. Signed by Todd Blanche. Now, Stinky Eric Swalwell, who made Bang Bang with Fang Fang, a Chinese spy's back, he says a red line has been crossed, and he's not talking about intercourse with CCP agents. Says Trump is prosecuting his political enemies in Congress. This is just the beginning. I sure hope so there, Eric. We must take whatever we've done before to show dissent and go one rung higher. He's gonna sleep with more spies? He says, save your BS documents on this one, Alina. You'll need them when you testify. He's attacking Alina Abba now, and he's saying bad words to her. Wow. So here's what Stinky Swalwell said over on the cable. Short clip here, because it sounds like they're going to continue to show up at these facilities.
In jail for an indefinite amount of time, we can't trust them. So we have to do our oversight duties. And she was in the right to go and do that. And I promise you, there's going to be more unnoticed visits by my colleagues where they show up and they better be let in.
Or what? You're going to take your belly out too and slap some people over the head with it? We'll see if that happens or not. Now, Kristi Noem got asked about this today. Short clip here from Homeland Security. She says, what happened at Delaney Hall was not oversight, okay? It was a political stunt that put the safety of our law enforcement agents, our staff, and our detainees at risk. Behavior was lawless. Members of Congress are not above the law and cannot illegally break into detention facilities.
Detention facilities.
Yes, they can conduct oversight, but Senator, what I would ask is that they understand that that doesn't mean they could show up with a mob with the intention to break in and assault law enforcement officers. That's what happened at Delaney Hall last week.
You're familiar
is that those individuals and those members of Congress were surrounded by criminals, creating criminal and perpetuating criminal acts.
You understand that.
But when you show up and ask for a tour, we've facilitated every single tour that every member of Congress has wanted. We've always done that. Right. And we have to, when we have a tour, also make sure that we've addressed security concerns and have enough staff and all of that. And we were accommodating that when those individuals showed up and they decided instead to break in.
Yeah, and they can't do that. They gave her the tour. Why'd she have to assault the officers if all she wanted was a tour? So Tom Homan was also talking about this. The border czar, Gunther Eagleman, clipped this one for us. Here's what Tom Homan said today.
To be there and to go in.
Well, look, they have a right to be there for oversight. There's a proper way to do it. Forcing your way in the facility, putting hands on an ICE officer is not the way to do it. No. So I think she was out of line. I've seen the videotape. I've seen 6 or 7 different videotapes. They show her acting unprofessionally. These are the same people who, for 4 years, are saying President Trump wasn't above the law. Well, either is she. There's a line you can't cross, and I think she crossed it. Now, I'll leave it up to the Alina Habba, the prosecutor who's handling this case, to prove the case, but the video makes it clear to me that she wasn't being professional that day. She certainly didn't act like a member of Congress. She certainly could have requested a tour. They give tours all the time, and if she got the tour, and many people have had the tour since, they've seen a grade A facility, the highest contentious standards in the industry, that puts to shame any facility, county or state, that New Jersey has. I think it was politics over public safety. That's a facility where the worst of the worst are housed. We can't lose control of that facility. But her actions cause a ruckus at that facility, makes that facility unsafe.
Did she cause the ruckus, though? Because you acknowledge that she has the right to be there. Administration put out a document back in February saying members of Congress will be allowed to go in. They said that they had to wait for hours. I want to ask you about the word that you very carefully used, which is unprofessional. Even if you believe she was unprofessional, did you see something in that tape that suggested she was criminal? Is there a tape that we haven't seen? Because the charging documents suggest that she somehow assaulted two the ICE agents there. I did not see that in that tape.
Screenshots of elbows.
Well, I've seen tapes where she has made body contact with ICE officers and pushing them. There's a lot of tapes out there. I mean, there's numerous tapes. In a scuffle,
is it normal that people would make body contact, though, Mr. Holman?
Bottom line is, you say she has a right to do her oversight, but there's a right way to do it. Forcing yourself through officers to get in that facility is not the way to do it. We have many Congress visit our facilities. What she did was unprofessional.
Do you believe that she was a threat?
I believe she caused the facility to be unsafe. When ICE officers are being pulled off their duties to deal with a member of Congress who is forced away in the facility and put her hands on an ICE officer is unprofessional. I think she crossed the line. Again, I'm not the prosecutor. I don't have to prove it in court, but the video I saw shows her at fault.
If she was in some way dangerous, if she caused the facility to be unsafe, why would they ultimately let her in?
Because they have to. She's a congresswoman.
They didn't allow her in. In that moment, she forced her way in. Then they dealt with it from then on. Look, the ICE officer, and this is the same week where we're here in D.C. honoring the men and women of law enforcement who made the ultimate sacrifice. I went to Border Patrol Memorial. I went to the ICE Memorial.
I just want to clarify something. You said she did go in, Mr. Holman. She did go in.
The men and women law enforcement. The same week we honor the men and women law enforcement, she's up there putting her hands on them. So she's being held accountable. She should be held.
But you acknowledge she did go into the facility. So why would she be let in?
Look, I wasn't there. I'm just telling you what I've learned through my sources and from the videotapes I saw, that she forced her way in the facility. There's a difference between oversight responsibility, working, arranging with ICE to go do a safe and secure tour of a facility where criminals are locked up, criminals are walking the hallways, and forcing your way in the facility. It should have been done more professionally, and I'll let the courts decide if she's, in violation of law, but the videos I saw, she could have been a hell of a lot more professional on that day.
And you believe the ICE agents were professional?
I believe so, yes.
They're all standing outside there protecting the facility. They're not doing anything. The other people are coming upon them and causing the mayhem. And Tom Homan, I think, is just articulating what is obvious to most people who, I guess, aren't on MSNBC as news anchors, but there's a right way to enter and there's a wrong way to enter. When you break and enter, that's criminal because you're impeding, you're impairing, and you're assaulting. But if you're a congressperson and you just go through the proper mechanism and identify yourself appropriately, they'll let you in. And that's all that happened, right? There were two different incidents. One was the right way to enter, they let her in. One was a criminal activity for which she is now being prosecuted. And I don't know why this is so difficult for them to understand, because they told us that this was the January 6th standard. They said, you guys broke and entered, you went to the building, all those things. We played them video after video of cops tapping other cops on the shoulder and just waving people in. In our defense, that was the right way to enter, essentially, right? They didn't realize they were going to be let in and then charged with crimes because it was the people's house. The ICE facility is not the people's house. So there's some distinctions here. My point is, difficult for them to understand the distinction when it doesn't serve them politically, because that's the only way they operate. Now, President Trump came out and he talked about LaMonica, fullback McIver.
Weaponizing with the arrest of a congresswoman. Democratic Congresswoman.
Oh, give me a break. Did you see her? She was out of control.
Did you address
those days are over. The days of woke, no, I didn't. The days of woke are over. That woman, I have no idea who she is. That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
Yeah, so LaMonica now criminally charged, rightfully so. We went through the full complaint. We'll see what happens and whether she puts up a fight, takes a plea, or something else happens. We'll be covering it. Thank you for joining us and subscribing as we do.